Hey y'all, it's Erin. Welcome back, welcome back. I know it's been a while, but life struck and took me out for a few days with a medical problem. I'm sorry, but I'm back now. It's okay. I don't want to bore y'all with that. I've got a few projects lined up. This third one took me for a loop, had some trial and errors, but I'm very excited to show y'all, so let's get started. First up, we've got just a frame that I got from Walmart. I think it's the Mainstay brand, whatever their brand is. And we're going to use the Stag from the invitation only mold. I already had one casted because I casted this entire mold when I got it because I got too excited. But so we already had one casted. But we're going to use layered chocolate and Sandie Blonde to paint this dapper gentleman up. And we're going to use this frame to do it. I love this frame. When I saw it in the store, I instantly was drawn to it. It screams my decor. I just love it. I've just never found a picture to put in it. I've had it for years. But we're going to use our Starbond thick super glue and glue him directly to the glass. And my fingers too while I'm at it. You'll see. This glue works good. But I'm also going to use the accelerant to spray directly onto this glass and make it stick immediately because I'm impatient and I do not want to wait for the glue to set. So when you spray that on there, it hardens immediately and you can keep going. So we're going to take the layered chocolate and just a little bit of salt wash. Mix that together, and we're going to put 2 layers directly onto the glass. I've wiped this glass down with alcohol, so it's completely clean. But we're going to put 2 layers on there. I'm going to put the first layer down. The second layer, I'm going to start bringing it down onto the tips of the antlers, as well as a little bit on his forehead and his cheeks. Start bringing the layered chocolate up because we're going to blend it in with the Sandie Blonde just to give him a little bit of definition. Make him look a little bit more realistic. So while that is still wet, I'm going to go in with the Sandie Blonde and immediately start painting his ears, his face. He's got a little beard. I don't know if y'all have seen this mold up close, but super detailed. But I'm going to start bringing that Sandie Blonde into that wet layered chocolate and just blend it in with it. I'm dipping into a little puddle of water too, so it's blending these two together. But I'm bringing it up onto the antlers, so it's going to kind of fade from the Sandie Blonde up into a chocolate. Use my fingers a little bit to smudge it, but you get the idea. Bring it. I kind of go back and forth. But yeah, I just blend those together. And then we're going to use some of the JRV new paint colors, Pacific, Barn Quilt, and Juniper, and then a little bit of Little Black Dress, I think. Yeah, Little Black Dress, and paint up his suit. So we're going to go in with Juniper. First, I had to leave this in because I totally yanked my camera off the mount. I'm like, whoa, hang on a minute. I got to fix this. That was a mess. But I paint his shirt with the Juniper 2 coats. The JRV paint, it has the top coat built in, but it is a little bit thinner. So with the Juniper, I only had to do 2 coats. With the Barn Quilt on his little bow tie, I think I did 3 with the red. Then we're going to go in with the Little Black Dress and paint his vest and his jacket. So I'm not going to have to seal his shirt and his bow tie, but I will have to seal his jacket. But I am going to distress him a little bit, so you'll see that in a later. Now I'm getting a detail brush and I'm just outlining the ears. I don't know if any of y'all have ever seen or gone hunting, or I don't know if y'all are hunters. I don't know if I'm just talking just to talk, but white-tailed deer have black lines on their ears. So just thought I'd paint that in. For the base, I'm painting that with the Pacific with 2 coats. These colors are so pretty. I love the new line of JRV Paints. They're gorgeous. And I love that they come in the smaller jars. So, so good. I'm going in with a little bit more detail with the layered chocolate. And I'm going to paint in his mouth, his nose, just to give him a little bit more definition in the face, to bring out all the details that they put in those stamps. Goodness gracious. So I'm going to seal his jacket and the background and his head with just clear wax from DIY. We're going to go over the entire thing and seal the paint because it's water soluble, right? So if it gets wet, and if you want to wipe it down, it's just going to wipe off. So we need to seal it. I'm going in with just a little bit of dark wax just to put into the creases of his bow tie, make him look a little older. And I rubbed a little bit harder on the jacket to take some of it off so it looks distressed. So we're going to take some of the golden rule and just put it on the tips of his antlers. And I just rub it randomly over him, and then I rub a lot onto the little base of it, or his stand. But I put him back in, and I'm looking at it, and I'm like, it's missing something. Well, I already made a chief executive rabbit because it had a suit on, so I said, well, let's make a chief executive deer. So I got out the conservatory labels and casted one with the Faber-Cast A and B casting resin. It's just like the Amazing Casting Resin. So casted one of those and painted 2 layers of the layered chocolate on it so it would match the background. And with the Apothecary stamps, love these stamps. We're, of course, going to stamp CED. I had to. I could not do it. And it was just missing that little something just to go on the bottom. So with the same thing that I did last time, I'm going to use the Sandie Blonde as my quote-unquote ink and put that on there. My little dauber tool. I think this is actually an ink tool, but I don't know, it might be a dauber tool. With Liquid Patina, I'm going to seal all of that in so it don't go nowhere. And then with a golden rule and a really small detailed brush, this label has like little rivets, or what it looks like, little rivets. So I wanted to bring those out. So I'm actually painting those little rivets with the golden rule to define that. So I did that to all 4 of those, and then I'm just going to rub it on the raised edges on the rest of it. And then we're going to glue it down. This frame is not filled in. So all of those little circles have indentions, or like there are holes all over them. So I used E6000 so it would actually go down into those crevices. So this is not coming off, and I think it turned out so cool. What do y'all think? Let me know what y'all think of my dapper little CED in the comments below. Okay, so I got another thing from Sammie. I got this clock from Sammie's website. I thought it was beautiful. It reminded me of Cogsworth off of Beauty and the Beast, which was my mother's favorite movie, so I had to get it. But the globe face and the whole brown, yeah, wasn't my deal. So I'm going to paint it. We're going to use the Plum Pudding from the JRV paint. And you see that film on top of the paint? You need to stir these paints. I would not suggest shaking them because it puts bubbles in them. So just stir them because that top coat separates. So just give it a good stir. But anyway, I popped the clock out of the clock. But we're going to use a Stalemeister. I think that's how you say it. This is a brush made for paints that have built-in top coats. I got this whole set, I believe, from Julie Signs and Designs. I don't know if she still carries them, but I got them a while back, and they work great with these paints. I know some people say that they have issues with these paints leaving paint strokes. You have to use the right kind of brush. These brushes work wonderful. And actually, if you use, the more paint you use of this kind of paint, it self-levels. So you see, I put on a little bit more. So when that goes to dry, it's going to self-level. I know this isn't a level surface, but on the second coat, you'll actually see that it levels itself out. So I'm going to put that in a bag, let that first coat dry. I do not dry this type of paint with a heat gun. I let it dry naturally. But I'm going to go in and do, I think, 2.5 coats. I think I do 2 coats and then kind of spot coat for the third. So we're doing the second coat all over again. But you just want to make sure you're using enough paint, because it is a little bit thinner of a paint than I think most of us are used to using when we're using the clay-based. So just keep that in mind. So we're going to let this dry, and we're going to work on the face. I'm going to take the front off. It just pops off. And with Gravel Road from DIY, I'm going to put 2 coats and paint over the little globe, because I tried to take it off, but it was stuck. And I didn't want to put anything over it. So I thought gray would be a good muted color for that purple. So I just put 2 coats on there. Let that completely dry. We're going to go on with the Collage des Fleurs. I don't know why they give them hard names. But this book of transfers, y'all, oh my goodness. They're so pretty, and it took me forever to choose. But I'm using the kind of creamy yellow roses. Oh, they're so beautiful. And these two remind me of my mother. She always kept rose bushes, and these would no doubt be her favorite. She loved white roses and purple roses, and these are just absolutely beautiful. So I got out the apothecary stamps because they have Roman numerals. So I'm going to stamp the 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and 9 o'clock back on the face of the clock that I just painted over because I want you to be able to still tell time on it, but I'm going to put transfers on the front, so I'm not going to put all of the numbers on it. So I'm just going to stamp the 4 on there. So I'm stamping the 12, the 3, the 6, and then the 9. So I'm going to take one of the little rosebuds, which I thought was just darling, and thought it would be perfect for the face. So when I got it the way I wanted to, I had to cut away a little bit of the carrier sheet. I guess I didn't cut away enough. Okay, there we go. Cut that down and stick it down. It has a little bit of a tack. So I'm going to take my transfer tool and rub that down directly onto that paint. And I didn't seal that paint and it stuck fine. So peel that up and burnish it down with the same carrier sheet. I love these flowers. They're absolutely stunning. And then I couldn't decide if I wanted to put that other rosebud on there or a leaf. It needed something on the other side. So I was going back and forth, and my husband had to come in and help. He was like, nope, you need to use the leaf. And I said, well, I still have these over here, and this one I can put the whole leaf on. And he was like, nope, I like that one. Just cut it off. Oh, okay. And he was right. It looks really great. So thank you, honey. You were right. So I went along just the side of the clock and cut off that piece of the leaf and took the back off and put that down like it was coming off the side of the clock. And it looks great. So we're going to rub that on. And the same process. I couldn't get the side up because it's stuck down into the clock. But we're going to rub that and then lift as we go. And then burnish it. Now we're going to take the crackle stamp and this is the small crackle stamp from the texture stamps from IOD. You get 4 of them. This is the small crackle, and I'm just going to randomly put just little cracks all over the face with the IOD black ink, just to make it look old. And some of them I got a little bit too dark, so I'm going in with some sandpaper and taking some of them off. I even go over the transfer and some of the numbers just to fade them back. But look how cool. I love the way this turned out. But we're going to seal all that in with liquid patina because I want it to stay flat, because we're putting the little plastic front back on, so it doesn't need a sheen. So now my clock is dry. You can see it's nice and smooth. This paint is great, y'all. If y'all have a chance to use this paint, do it. It's really good paint. The lines on this clock, though, oh my gosh. Ooh, let me tell you what. This was a challenge, and it was my fault because I didn't cut the transfer the way I should have. I should have cut slits in the carrier sheet, so this was on me. But this was yeah, I said some bad words, and I'm not afraid to admit it, but oh my gosh. So I got the majority of it down, right? So see, I'm rubbing and I'm taking it up, and woo, this one tested me. So I'm like, okay, well, I need to cut it because I'm going around the front of the clock, right? Well, it started to split on the rows. If you can see right there, it started to break. And I'm like, oh no. Okay, well, and then I just forced it. I'm like, okay, well, it's going to break. It's going to do what it's going to do. I'm just going to have to fix it later. So I cut off that little leaf at the bottom because I figure if it's going to break, I can use that to cover it and fix any cracks, right? So I'm like, okay, well, if it's going to break, it's going to break. We're just going to force it. So I just went for it and pressed the rest of it down, got the rest of it in, and then I pull it up, and I do not know what happened, but there was a little spot right there where my finger is where the paint peeled up. Now, I think this is my fault because I did not scuff sand this entire clock. I just went directly onto the finish that it had on it. So this is on me. Do as I say, not as I do. Scuff sand your pieces because I made a boo-boo. Now I'm trying to fix it. So I'm getting scraps. I took the rest of that leaf that I had on the front and I put it over the majority of that spot. Now I'm taking a rosebud and putting over that, filling that in. Got that down. We're just going to bend that little piece in. And then I've got one little piece, another scrap. That was supposed to go on the bottom, but I was like, well, nope, I need it here. So I put it there. But we've got all of the black covered up, right? So that part is fixed. It's done. Well, okay, still got to fix the bottom. So I had 3 little leaves from one of the other transfers that I cut off. So I put those 3 leaves at the bottom to cover that little crack. So I put those down. So at the end of the day, we fixed it and it looks great. It was just bound and determined to give me troubles. But we got that one down. So now we're going to put another one on the top coming down onto the front. So we're going to start at the top. I tried to only make it have one bend. So I was like, I am not doing that again. Oh my gosh. So I started rubbing this one down, peeling it back, went over the front, and that one went down perfectly. Now on the side, I've got one little rosebud. I didn't want to put huge roses all over it. So I just wanted to put a little single rosebud on the side. So I'm just going to do one single rosebud over here and 2 little leaves. So I put that rosebud down, burnish it, and the 2 leaves. And somehow, while putting all these transfers down, I don't know what I sat it on, but I ended up scratching the back of it as well. And again, this was completely my fault. I did not prepare my surface the way I should have. So I actually decided to lean into that. See where I scratched it on the back? So I was like, okay, well, I'm going to lean into that. I've already got crackle on the face of the clock, so we're going to distress it. So I took sandpaper over the entire thing, and just basically where it was going to come off, I let it come off. I'm barely rubbing this sandpaper, and where it's going to come off, it's going to come off. And then I'm going to go back in, even though this has a sealer in it, I'm going to go back in and seal it. So none of the rest of this is going to come off because I'm going to seal it back down. But I'm going to take that same crackle stamp that we used on the face, and I'm going to use that all over the exterior of the clock as well. So it's going to match the face. So I'm just randomly going everywhere on the clock. So I'm going to put the face back together. And it works, Sammie. You didn't know if it worked, but it does. And it has the real traditional ticking sound. I love it. I have it sitting in my hallway and I absolutely love it. But we're going to seal this with liquid patina. So it's not only going to seal that transfer down, it's going to actually seal that paint as well. So we're going to put the clock face back in, and y'all, I love how she turned out. Look how pretty. This purple is gorgeous. If y'all didn't know, purple's my favorite color. Hello, I'm Erin. I'm obsessed with purple. And oh, she's so pretty. Let me know what y'all think in the comments. Okay, now this one is what I'm excited about. This, if y'all saw my community post, who guessed? Did anybody take a guess of what this is? This is what cactus look like when they are completely dead and dried up and shriveled up and gone. These are dead cactus petals. They're dried up. They come in layers. This one had, I think, like 7 or 8 layers, but I've peeled them apart. I've washed them off and I laid them out to dry. Surprisingly, they're extremely durable. These are so cool. I have a whole bag of them. My dad got them for me. He used to live out in Amarillo. His whole property is covered in these, so he gives me bags of them. And when I saw them, I immediately thought of wings, dragonfly wings, butterfly wings. So we're going to do it. So we're taking little black dress, and I'm going to coat the front and the back of these in little black dress. And you'll see that I cut them in half because I'm going to make this into a dragonfly. So we're going to coat all 4 pieces with little black dress. And this was all very, very new to me. Of course, this is not something that I work with on a daily basis. So I was skeptical. I was like, are these going to fall apart? But surprisingly, no. They're very durable. They're very fibrous. When they get wet, they remain hard. So they were easy to paint. But yeah, they were actually really easy to work with, and I was really surprised. So if y'all have cactus, and if you ever have the big, large petals fall off, save them. So we're going to go in with some alcohol inks and some UV resin. This is Marabou ink, alcohol ink. It's color rainbow. It's got glitter in it. That's the UV resin that I'm using. I've put a picture up of it. It's from Osbang. I don't know if I'm saying that right. But at first, I was going to try to do this almost like a stained glass in a way, but oh, you see all the holes in that thing? Yeah, no, that wasn't happening. So I actually just went in and filled in the entire, all four of them, actually. I just covered all of them with the rainbow glittery UV resin. So at first it has just a clear coat over each wing. So each time I'm curing it, it's for 2 minutes. Now I got this set of alcohol inks from Tim Holtz. This is called Mermaid. It's like a teal blue. It's really pretty. I'm going to leave links to all of these in the description box below. If you want to get anything from IOD, DIY Paints, the new JRV Paints, if I can speak, I'm going to leave Sammie's link below to her website. You can get all of that from her. But we're going to go along the edge of all of the wings with the mermaid. So you see it's like an aqua blue. It's so pretty. But I had to do it in little pieces because y'all, this was trial and error, okay? So I was learning as I went. I'm bringing in 2 other colors. It's wild plum and amethyst, some of the other colors I'm putting on the wings. So I had to go in pieces. I'm filling in holes that I missed. I'm just trying to get this wing completely covered and solid, okay? And it was challenging, but it was fun. I liked working with this resin. It was really cool. I got the Let's Resin lamp off of Amazon. It wasn't too expensive either. It was really cool. I loved working with it, and the end product, oh my gosh, mind-blowing. I am so proud of the way this turned out. It's, oh my gosh. I want to show y'all now, but the video is still going. Okay, now we're going into the amethyst. We gotta fill in the rest of the wing. And this is just a lighter purple. Of course, you know I'm gonna use purple. But we're just filling in the rest of the wing. And then the big holes that those did not fill, I'm going in with a yellow. I think it's called Yellow Sunshine. Sunshine Yellow. And I'm trying to pull inspiration from legit dragonfly wings. Like, they're very colorful and very vibrant, right? So I'm putting specks of this real bright yellow in it. So the big holes, I'm putting this real bright yellow. So it's almost going to look like stained glass when I get done with it. So I fill in the big holes with that and cure it. And look, I do the same to the other big one. So they look identical. Look how pretty. Oh my gosh, these are so cool, y'all. Now for the little ones, I'm just going to take the mermaid around the bottoms and then fill the majority of those in with just the amethyst and then the big holes with the yellow. But that's how the little ones turned out. How cool is that? So excited. So now we're going to take some just black mica powder, and with the leftover yellow resin, I'm going to put some mica powder in that because we got to make a body now, right? So I got this little jewel mold off of Amazon, and I basically just picked the jewels that I thought would resemble a dragonfly. So we're going to make his little head. So I just got one of the little, I guess, pear, I guess you would call it, pear-shaped, and made his head. Used one of the bigger ones for his body. Cure that real quick. Use the bigger one for his body. And then they have these long ones. They have a little one and a big one. I used one of the big ones and then two of the smaller ones and made his tail. So I'm popping those out. And these are all done in just the leftover UV resin that I didn't use on the wings. So they're mostly in the mermaid color. So that's going to be the little body of the dragonfly. So now I'm going to take the UV resin, and this resin's cool. Like, the resin doesn't go where you don't put it, basically. So that's not going to run, right? So I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to pull it up just a little bit so the wings can stick into it and it'll be level. But that's going to stay there. So I'm going to lay it down. And then I'm going to put the smaller ones in first. And just pull the light over to me. And while I'm holding it, I'm going to cure the resin. So I hold that there for just, I think I only held it there for like 30 seconds. This stuff cures really fast. So now I'm going to put the big boys up top. And you're really not going to see this because it's going to be covered. So I wasn't trying to be neat with how I put that on, but I'm using a chip clip to prop that up. But I'm putting the bigger wings meeting in the middle of the back. And I just hold it there. I didn't know of any other way to do this, y'all. I was just flying by the seat of my pants on this, but it worked and it was so cool. This was very satisfying. I'm going to tell you that. It was very satisfying. And I picked it up and I was like, oh my gosh, is it stuck? Oh, it is stuck. Very satisfying. If you're up for instant gratification, oh my gosh, this stuff is so cool. So now I'm going to use the same UV resin and stick his little head on. And I just put a little dot of the UV resin and just put the lamp over it and it sticks. It's so... I keep saying it. I feel like I'm saying the same words, but it really is really neat. So now I'm going to put the body together. And cure that. Now, just because I wasn't sure of it, and I'm not sure of myself sometimes, I wanted to reinforce it. So I'm just going to put little dots of resin at where they come together at the joints, at each jewel. So I'm just going to reinforce it basically and cure that. So this thing is not coming apart. But look how cool. Eek. Okay, so now I've got these little jewels that I've had forever to put on my nails that I never put on my nails. But I'm gonna jazz them up a little bit. So, and plus it had a little hole. I'd cut them off. These were supposed to be, for pendants and stuff, and I'd cut off that little nub thingy that's supposed to make the hole. Well, it made a little indentation on the jewel, and I wanted to cover that up. So I'm going to use these and just put some down his back. Plus, it makes him sparkle a little bit more. And then I put a couple on his head. And then cure those. So now I've got 2 canvases from Dollar Tree. And I'm going to take all the staples out. And y'all know how to do that. This little staple remover, y'all, is the bomb. If y'all have never seen one of these things, oh, they're so cool. It pries the nail out and it doesn't wreck the wood. This thing is amazing. So I take all the nails out of both of them because I'm going to make it a really deep canvas. And I'm going to cut off a little bit of the excess, not all of it, because I'm going to stretch it back onto that wood canvas or that wood frame. So I'm going to cut a little bit off. So we're going to start with Fancy Farm Girl and put some down for the grass. And at the top, we're going to use Prom Queen. Yep, there it is. And then paint the entire top with Prom Queen. So now, since I did not film fading or blending the green into the blue, and I'm sorry, you know it wouldn't be an Erin video without me forgetting to turn my camera on. So I'm going to put in some clouds. So I'm just using some vintage linen. And I'm basically just doing the shapes that I want. And I've got some Hey Sailor. I'm just putting in the colors that I want right now. The Prom Queen on the bottom is dry. It's completely dry. Right now, I'm just putting in the colors that I know I'm going to want and the variations, right? So now I'm going to bring in my water. I'm going to spritz the whole thing. And I'm going to bring in the little dipper brush from DIY. And I'm going to go back and forth, up and down, swirls, and put a little bit more paint where I think I need it, and blend all of this out. But it's going to look like really soft clouds when I get done. And I'm offloading onto that paper towel onto the left. So you want no paint and no water on that brush. You want virtually a dry brush. So if you want a little bit more blue, put a little bit more blue. If you want more white, put more white. It's just whatever looks good to you. See, I want a little bit more blue there. And then blend it out. I love blending paints. I think it looks cool. But then we're going to let that completely dry. And now for a cool trick. We've got an ordinary straw. Okay. We're going to take this straw and I'm going to cut it in half. And then with my Cricut scissors going up about 1.5 inches, I'm going to cut little slits all the way around. And it's going to be the same height all the way around the entire straw. Just the tip. So when you get done, you flatten that out and you can paint flowers with it. You'll be able to see it better once I get paint on them. So I'm going to do 2 more. This one I'm going to go up about 1 inch. So I'm going to make 3 different sizes. So this one I'm going to go up about an inch, and then the third one I only go up about a half of an inch. So this is the little one. I only go up just a little bit, and then you flatten it out. But I'm going to get the rest of the vintage linen that I didn't use in the clouds and just put it on a piece of plastic so I can dip the straws into it. But you dip the straw, and then it's just like stamping. You're going to go up and down and twist the straw as you go, and it makes it look like little dandelions. So I'm going to take the next size down and make another one right there. Take the small one, put one at the bottom, and then I'm just going to place them wherever I want. I'm going to put a couple more small ones. This is just going to be the backdrop for our dragonfly. So I didn't want it to be a lot of color. I didn't want it to take away from him. So I wanted it to be very subtle, but I wanted it to be very calming as well. So to me, this is just very serene, just very soft. So I've got those painted on. Now we're going to take a pointed detail brush, and we're going to dip into the Fancy Farm Girl, and we're going to put our stems on our dandelions. And I just go from the bottom of the dandelion all the way down, because once that dries into the bottom, it's going to disappear, right? And then I just daub a little bit of it into the middle, and I do just a little speck in the white, because you'll be able to see it through the dandelion. You don't call them leaves, but you know, you can see it through the little floral part. But I'm gonna make our little stems, and you don't have to do these in white. You don't have to do them like dandelions. You can do them in different colors and actually make them kind of like daisies. So you can do these in all colors. You can do this on a black canvas and do these in real bright colors, which I think would be really pretty. And do them all over and make a really beautiful meadow of these. I think would be so pretty. So they don't have to be dandelions. You can use that same technique and paint daisies, or, you know, paint whatever kind of flower you want. Cut the straw differently and make a different shape. Now I'm going to use the same paint and just paint some grass. Just go up. I'm going to use the Fancy Farm Girl, and then I'm going to come in with two other colors of green just for some variation, some Gypsy Green, and do the same thing. Paint from the bottom up so it gives that sharp tip to the grass. And then I'm going to use Monet's Garden as well and do the same thing. But you can see the detail brush I'm using is really long, so it's very flimsy. And that's the kind of brush I like to use for these wispy grasses, because it lets you drag the paint. So I've got those down. Now we're going to come in with the Apothecary stamps, and that's all dry now. And I'm going to put a few words in here. Just because I wanted to. So we're going to, just with IOD's black ink, we're going to stamp the word grow on the bottom. And then over here, we're going to stamp the word breathe. I have to go back and put the E because there's only one. And then up at the top, we're going to stamp fly. So the wood frames of those canvases with the Hey Sailor, I'm just going to mix with a little bit of water and basically stain the frames with them, both of them, because we're going to stack them, right? So I'm going to stain all four sides, front, sides, inside, outside, all of them to both of them, and wipe off as I go. Once those are dry, we're going to staple the canvas onto the back one. So I'm going to stretch that back out and then cut off the excess. And then I'm going to glue that front one on, and I'm going to clamp that down and let it set overnight so that glue sets up. So I've let it set overnight. I've got these little bitty bottles that I get from HelloFresh that the little vinegar comes in, but I thought it would be really cute to make a little flower pot with it. So with just some excess ribbon, I'm gonna wrap some ticking ribbon around it just to jazz it up a little bit. So it's just not just a clear little bottle. So I put one little strip of ribbon, and then I found some burlap ribbon in my scraps. I was going to put that lace on the left on it, but I didn't like it, so I changed my mind. So I used this little burlap scrap that I had. So I'm putting that down. And then I found this little jewel that I already had casted from the cameo mold. We're going to paint that with the same color as the frame. And seal it with liquid patina. And then this is a chameleon mica powder from Arteza, same as the black one that I used in the jewel for the dragonfly. I'm just going to paint that on the middle of the jewel. This is white gold wax from Alchemy. I'm going to do that around the outside. So it's going to look like a real old antique jewel. I'll wipe most of it off of the sides. Look how pretty. Looks like a sapphire. Using my Star Bond thick super glue, I'm going to glue that to the little bottle. And then I'm going to use this UV resin. I'm going to squirt some down on the bottom. And then when I put these flowers in there, because I couldn't put flower foam down in it, right? And I didn't want to squirt hot glue down in there because it would solidify immediately once I'd get the flowers down in there. And plus, I didn't want it to look all cloudy and bleh. So this UV resin, I have this little UV flashlight. So I stuck that on there and it cured it. So I had this little ladybug already casted, so I painted him up and then I grabbed these little mushrooms. So I painted those with Liquid Sunshine, Firestarter, and Sandie Blonde. and those were actually casted with black resin. So I do distress those back. You can see the black. So I'm going to seal the entire thing with liquid patina, the canvas and the frame. And then I'm just going to go in with good old-fashioned Elmer's clear school glue. Just big old bottle of it. And I'm going to puddle that on the bottom of the frame and put some really, really dried up reindeer moss. This stuff was like, oh my gosh, this stuff was so dried up. That's why I was able to crumble it the way I was able to. But I put that all across the bottom. And see, look, y'all, those things are not coming out. They're stuck. So cool. I really like this UV resin stuff. But I'm going to hot glue this directly to the canvas itself. So I'm going to put that down at the bottom. And then place our little mushrooms down. I glue those down to the canvas. And this is just using Gorilla Glue, hot glue in my glue gun. And then glue down my little ladybug. Now with E6000, I'm putting the dragonfly on the canvas because he's heavy. He's got some girth. So we're gonna stick him down and let him cure overnight on the canvas so he don't go nowhere. So we're gonna stick him down and let him sit, and this is how he turned out. I am so happy with how this turned out. I think this is one of the coolest things I've done in a while. This was really fun to learn how to use. If y'all have never used UV resin, I strongly recommend it. It's so fun to use. They have so many different colors and alcohol inks. The set that I got is amazing. But y'all know the drill. Let me know which one was y'all's favorite down in the comments below. I really appreciate y'all's patience on the video. I'm sorry it took me so long, but I love y'all. Thank you for your continued support. Remember, y'all are beautiful and you can do hard things. Remember to like, subscribe, comment, and share. Thanks, guys. Have a good night.